Yeah. Welcome, good evening. We have already actually started, and I believe me and my honored guest today, I felt and I'm feeling that we are already on the right vibes. And though some technicalities made some barriers for us on Sunday, but we are kind of resilient people, and we're like, no, we can just a little bit postpone, but we never give up. And here we together. And I'm so happy to present in my this episode, diversity is the game changer, very special guest. And I'm trying always to make a title, different titles, not just count the episodes. And I hope the title I made for you, you like. And I call it like this: red carpets, radio spaces, and real talk, Brandon Jay's journey of embracing diversity. You like?
Hello, how are you today?
Fine, thank you. Thank you so much for being with us. So, welcome everyone again.
Yeah, thank you.
Another exciting episode. It's diversity is the game changer, and today we explore very special guest journey. And you may know him as a renowned radio and television host, a red carpet star who has interviewed A-list celebrities, and highly respected talent manager who's worked with Grammy-winning artists, Emmy-nominated producers. But above all, today's guest is someone who represents the power of diversity and professionalism, and its impact across all facets of life and career. Please join me in welcoming the one and only Brandon J. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a great privilege, and the pleasure is absolutely mine. So, because your career has been shining, like is an example how embracing diversity can open doors, spark creativity, and create meaningful changes. And from your work in broadcasting to your incredible role in talent management and even your presence on the red carpet with a celebrity, so you have seen it all. Really
I've
diverse.
seen it all.
You haven't at all. Yes, you can be my guru. I understand already
There
from
you
that.
go.
Because before we started, actually, I was like, yeah, how many actually interviews and podcasts have you made? He's like, oh my god, hundreds. Like, wow,
Too
you're my
many. I've lost count. I mean, I've lost count, literally.
perfect. So, but today, before all that fancy part, we are going to focus on something even more impactful. It will be three major topics. It's how your and our childhood shape our adult mindset. So we touch a little bit about little Brandon journey. Then it will be the role, like I already mentioned, the role diversity and inclusion plays in the industry you are represent, or many of them. And then how we can make a more inclusive society, because diversity without inclusion, if we don't marry them, there is not much different happens, right? So
Well,
let's jump in.
absolutely. I mean, there's diversity in every industry around the globe, not just here in the U.S. or not just where you are in Norway, but all over the globe for that matter.
Exactly, thank you. Great perspective. So let's jump in your childhood. Before we dive into incredible career, let's take it back to the very beginning, because I know you were grown up in the in the South Carolina, in Columbia, and you're now there. Actually, I already found out, and I believe that childhood and our upbringing play a significant role about how we create our adult mindset, right? And all the experience from childhood, they
Yes.
really. And so, could you please open the door and welcome us to the childhood of our little Brandon? Thank you.
Oh my goodness, we're going back in time. So, growing up here in an area in the South, I witnessed various things, and always had a love and a passion for entertainment and technology.
Okay.
And so for me, I had to make a choice. You know, let's fast forward a little bit to bigger branded out of college, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of college and I'm like, okay, in order to prosper and to grow and generate more productivity, I've got to make a decision of where I'm going to relocate because location is everything, as you well know. And so I was like, okay, I'm either going to move to Atlanta, and
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta was literally only 4 hours away from my hometown of Columbia, South Carolina, just straight up I-20 going westbound, and you're in Atlanta in 4 hours. And then also, I was looking at New York and Los Angeles. And in 2008, I decided to make the move to Los Angeles because speaking of diversity and inclusion, uh, LA is diverse in terms of television, music, radio, films, and even technology, because Silicon Valley, let's face it, is north of LA, out of San Francisco, Palo Alto, and Sunnyvale and everything. So I moved to Los Angeles in 2008, and I have to say that was the best decision I ever could have made personally because it taught me so much about this industry.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And I just know I've been to different states in the US, and they, like you mentioned, they're so important and beautiful because they are so diverse, right? And I
Yes.
just could hear, and I assume that because you're from the southern part, and actually I'm proud Ukrainian also from the southern part. So maybe it's something with southern part, maybe with sun, I don't know. But our people also always have been considered like more people open, I don't know, more friendly, more hospitality, and the very big focus on making meaningful connections and relationships because
Yeah, yes, we're known for our southern hospitality without question. So that's something I definitely can relate to. And the cool thing about LA, there are so many people that move there, that migrate, that transport from not only just other areas of the USA, but all over the world for that matter,
yes,
because of the opportunity, man. It's the king of entertainment.
exactly. And I love it that I've shared with you already that my plan is this year also to move. I'm so happy that, wow, manifesting and dreaming and working hard. I have like four manifesting dreams now. One of them was playing in Hollywood. I think everybody who kind of like this part to be on a television, and yes, they dream a little bit. So I was so privileged now to be contacted by the crew of really professional people. So I'm so blessed and for that opportunity. But also Los Angeles, I've been to no 3 4 times, and I basically felt like I'm home because you immediately have this belonging if you're really diverse inside and you love being like exposed in a so good way by different
Right.
cultures, right? So it's amazing place to be. You never felt like you're some in kind of strange place because it's something belong that, oh, of course you're part of this beautiful mosaic, of course. How did you feel? How many? Okay, you moved right after your college, right? And what did you
Yeah,
study?
well, okay, so yeah, you could say that. I graduated college in 2006. I'm showing my age now, right? 2006, I
No,
graduated
it was after
college.
kindergarten. No, no, no. When you said after college, like, oh, you really mean it after kindergarten? You look so young. It's not
Thank
true.
you. It's my genes. I thank God for my genes each and every day. That's all I could say. But so I graduated college in 2006, and I made the move to Los Angeles, actually North Hollywood Arts District to be exact,
Uh-huh.
in August 1st of 2008. So I made the move, yeah, literally 2 hours, 2 years after college.
Okay. But tell us, how actually did Los Angeles welcomed you? How did you start your career? Because it's also very competitive to be there because it's the
Oh,
city of dreams for everyone, right?
let me tell you something. LA is a place that teaches you first and foremost you're nobody. I remember, getting into events with ease back south in Atlanta and Charlotte and Greensboro and Raleigh and all these places, Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, and then you come to Los Angeles where everybody's trying to make it, and you've seen it on the TV. I mean, even Michael B. Jordan, who is in Black Panther and so many major feature films, went to a party on Sunset Boulevard. Well, attempted to go to a party, and they would not even let him in the door. And he's a
Mm,
celebrity. So LA taught me, okay, if you want to get in the door, you're going to have to bang down the door, literally rip the door down. And what
mhm,
that means is being on time, not having the the idea of being entitled, like someone owes you something because they don't owe you anything, right?
mhm,
You're one of millions of people in a city looking for opportunity. And I realized in order to really get the real opportunities, I've got to really build a strong foundation of real relationships with people. And that's what it really came down to. But when I moved to LA, this is no joke. I only knew two people, and the two people that I knew that lived in LA were actually back from the Southeast, literally my hometown
mhm.
of Irmo, South Carolina, one of them, and the other one was from Charlotte. And when I moved out there, they ended up relocating. And so I didn't know anybody. So in order to meet people, I had to be aggressive. I had to be authentic in my approach, and I had to be at literally every red carpet event you can think of, in rain, you know, heat, the cold, whatever it might be. I had to be there.
Amazing, showing up every single day because yes,
Yes,
the real success of people who want to achieve their dreams, goals, right? It's actually about persistency. It's not about perfection, but uh, progress. Every single day you have to show up, right? And
every day.
sometimes, like you said, no motivation is fleeting. It's not like you are born with it. It can come, not come, but discipline every single day. You have to, because life always can throw us curl back, but how we approach, how we react, it's so important. So thank you so much. Like every day I'm talking to people who has been successfully like yourself. So it's
Yes.
again and again, it's not like people treat you or other people or me like uh suddenly kindly. No way. Like you said, nobody owes you nothing, right? So but you have to, and then uh, the creator never seen it's like the small changes, like the big puzzle, right? You can't do it like just, and patience, because people also come there and believe like, okay, but the dream city, it have to happen like with me, maybe not with her, with him, but with me. And suddenly, no, sudden success maybe comes, but you don't put that much appreciation, then you lose it. But when you build it like this, it's something, another case. Okay, amazing. So you are in Los Angeles. You actually then, like you said, you have this special luggage of tools. Just you said authenticity and your persistence, and then your own motivation, right? You need to pull up yourself out of your hair, like you said, the rain and everything. And then you decide because, and then you decided to no your college degree. Did I miss that? Because I asked, but I
Oh, yeah,
forgot.
college degree 2006 in business management, minor in public relations, and
Okay.
from South Carolina. And so for me, you know, I realized at a young age
Mm-hmm.
that what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to do necessarily certain components involved a college degree, because let's be honest, right? You learn all kind of things in school, and even the LA Times, they plastered an article like, is college really necessary, is it relevant? And I think for some people it is. It's all about building that foundation. But the thing that I've learned, regardless if you're looking for that right job, whether it's in entertainment, technology, pharmaceuticals, whatever it might be, it's about the relationships you build, and it's about being authentic and true to oneself. Authenticity, and I've said this 100 times, and I'll continue to say it until I'm blue in the face. Authenticity triumphs over everything. And how I got in the door. and I got rejected a lot. I mean, I'll tell you a funny story. So I ended up going to the MTV Movie Awards,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that they were emailing us back and forth, and I thought I had press credentials. I actually ended up interrupting Will Ferrell on a golf cart. They were escorting him to the red carpet because the lady that was escorting him was the one in charge of the credentials, and she's like, "No, you're not getting a credential." And to most people, they were like, "Okay, I'm giving up.
Yeah.
This is not going to happen." For me, I'm like, "The heck with this!" And I kept banging down the door to where then MTV started inviting me to various different events to cover different things like the MTV Los Premios Awards, the Latin Music Awards, and things like that. And then I ended up having my content even featured on the Hills after party, the last episode of the Hills in Canada, with my interview of Lo Bosworth. And so my point is, nothing is impossible. They can tell you no, you're denied, and you can either let the situation make you, or you make the situation, if that makes sense.
Exactly, amazing. It's every single day I tell to my kids, because they're teenagers now, and they're really like led by all this social media, and they kind of just look at this last product fake picture, like glam reels, and that everything just so easy and somehow. But I said, the iceberg and everything what you actually see, even like 10%, but 90 it's there when you don't see. It's a hard job, many many years, like to celebrate one night, I don't know, kind of triumph. You have to invest, to work, to put so much effort, so many many years, that kind of now kids, they're a little bit delusional, that on TikTok, all this stuff,
Oh, they
it
have no
happens
clue.
somehow, it's
They
magical.
have no clue. To
No.
be relentless, to be driven, to be persistent, to be determined. It takes all of those qualities to get through the thick of things, especially when there is competition, because you're always going to have to go up
Mm.
against people. I mean, the Coca-Cola bottling company and Pepsi have been competing for decades. They're still competing to this day, and that's why they lead the market in in uh in ownership, literally, because they are geniuses at their marketing approach, and you have to be the same way. You can't just rely on social media. Okay, I've got a million followers on TikTok, for example, but if I have no engagement, nobody gives a care, because you're not interacting. It's like, okay, you got the followers, but it shows that people aren't really vibing to the content and your messaging and things of that nature.
Yes, exactly. And I like very much, we have touched a little bit about college and education, because many now also has these discussions back and forth, especially with teenagers, whether they have, for example, to find their calling and just to follow and to be YouTubers, and then they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I should have this and that and that. And of course, I understand, and I like the conversation I had on my show with the Mr. Bacon. Yeah, he's French. He is director of uh, in British Columbia, in Vancouver, the whole university, and he also
Okay.
mentioned that, it's still university. Yes, it's the temple of brain, but it's not the temple of heart. Nobody like really ask you so much, and like it's like it's kind of it's getting a little bit more and more about mental health, mental well-being, and everything, but still the real education has not that much maybe to do with the is like really whether you're very successful in life, but
Right.
relationship which you build there, like and what kind of values, core values you have, like you said, it's so important that you you made your core values, like the image which was talking who you are, and it's and your and of course your resilience and resistance and everything. It's this all together who make you who you are today, right?
That's it.
So
That's it.
I would like actually, we're like, okay, now we're like, big subjects and very deep, but funny story. About funny story, I always like, because storytelling, right, really should be also a little bit private. Like, you said you had so many funny stories. If you could share one, like, okay, maybe painful at that time, but really like, funny stories that you have experienced, like, and I don't know, maybe it was more
Oh
much
my
fun.
goodness. So so I've met so many people. I've interviewed so many people, from your Jamie Lee Curtis to your Snoop Dogg
Yeah.
to, Robin Leach, Rich Styles of the Rich and the Famous, which was a huge show in the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And to meet all of these people, the thing that I realize more than anything is they're just like you and I, right? There's nothing spectacular about these people, and they actually respect you more when you treat them just like an average ordinary person. You don't I don't desire to put somebody up on a pedestal and treat them differently because they've got more money in the bank. No, they were just prepared for when a specific opportunity reached them, and they were able to capitalize off of it and become productive and successful from it. So but funny stories, I've asked people to interview them. They've turned me down. After even getting turned down, I'll then go get a cop, a police officer, for example, to walk up to him to say, "Hey, this gentleman wants to interview you." And that's how I was able to interview Paris Hilton for the first time years ago. And it just crazy. Just the thing that I've learned is never stop banging on the door until the door is torn down. And so until that person says no, pardon my language here, but F you, I'm
Yeah.
not interested, then you leave it alone and you walk away, right? But the thing that I've learned is that, you know, a, a no today is not necessarily a no forever, right? It may just be a
Mhm.
delayed no. Like a
Mhm.
delay is not a denial; it's just a growing pain. And I learned this, and one of the key principles, and you touched on this earlier about being relentless and driven, and having authenticity and being determined and persistent and all of these things, right? But keeping God at the forefront above all of these things, that's what's allowed me to get in the doors. So to this very day in 2025, I still have respect from a lot of my peers. I've
Amazing.
set that ground foundation. So and I think too, for all of you out there, it's all about the expectation. For example, a lot
Hmm.
of recording artists will go into a record label, but they may not set the expectation. So you can't fault the label for telling you you have to dress a certain way, you have to do things a certain way, because you never set the expectation with them in the first place. But if you go in there and say, I am willing to do this, I agree to this, I do not agree to this, I
Hmm.
oppose of the following, well, then therefore they now know, okay, you're not just going to allow them to do anything. You've set boundaries, and you also have a certain level of standards as well.
Wow, it's amazing advice for me as well, because like you said, sometimes also now I approach people, right, and somebody like said no, but I still trying to learn it, like not personal no, because it's kind of job, and maybe no means actually not now, or
Right.
I, right, I even don't know what's happening now in their lives, and I know already I'm experienced that it can happen everything. Like, I'm Ukrainian now, we have war, I have my parents refugees, right, and I have adopted two kids with special needs, I have OCD myself, and sometimes I'm quite, I believe, kind person, but sometimes it's so too much. And if one person, like, also, like, maybe reaching to me just now, I never try to be rude or unpolite, but it still can be no. And sometimes I'm like, Valeria, actually it's not like, not no no, but maybe later, maybe even now it's not the right moment for me, for myself. Maybe it should have been for another purpose. It's like it's always the pro, because communication this person is, it's the most beautiful but challenging art in our life, right?
Yes,
Because
I
it's always
agree.
two-way street kind of, and you
It's
and
overwhelming. I mean, everything that you're going through with the current events of the war and the adoption of the children, and that's a full-time job. I mean, that's 365, 24/7 every single day. And you never know what you're going to get with a child because it just every day is the roll of the dice, right? I can relate. So
it's like, oh my god, amazing. Okay, let's touch a little bit more about diversity. We already were like floating around very beautifully, but speak about like innovation, success, because you have a really, like, great career and hosting radio shows, managing talents, producing content, interviewing stars, like you already mentioned. And you could see firsthand how embracing diversity shapes the entertainment world, right? So because we speak about gender diversity now, much about cultural, or not, first of all, of course, it was cultural diversity, I mean, ethnical in Hollywood, right? And then gender diversity. And we also will be touching a little bit about neurodiversity. But what is your personal approach actually to diversity, how it's influenced the domain industry you are engaged in, and because you have seen also, I know a lot of what's happened behind the scenes and Me Too already, right? And how diversity still sometimes discrimination, stigma still sometimes can both influence in a very beautiful way because it's a richness of perspectives, but still can be like, this kind of oh, we still stuck here on this and this, like, part that it's not inclusion. What maybe special experience or moment you, or still you have your opinion what we can do to increase, like, inclusion for diverse, for minorities?
well, I think that's a brilliant question, and I want to just touch on this. So right
Mhm.
now in the marketplace, in the current uh, with the corporations here in the U.S., right, the United States of America, there are corporations that are having a hard time navigating this specific diversity, equity, inclusion program, right? And so I think, and this has been my approach, and I'm just cut from a different cloth, right? I'm just built different. I mean, that's the best thing I can say. I've always been uh, diverse in terms of friends, in terms of my coworkers. I treat everybody equally, regardless of the religion, the gender, the nationality, all of the above, right? Everybody's equal. We're all children at the end of the day of God. So for me, I've always embraced people of all nationalities, and that's why I love LA, because LA is like the melt. I mean, you're going there, right? It's the melting pot. Every nationality you can think of: Russia, Ukraine, the Middle East, China, Japan, South America, Mexico,
Mhm.
Canada, the UK, everywhere, right? Everywhere Africa you can think of, everybody's there for the common goal, which is opportunity. But I think the best advice I can give is treat diversity as, think of it like, okay, these are my brothers and my sisters, and regardless of how they were brought up and their culture and the region that they were brought up in, we should all treat everybody equally because we're all human beings and we all make mistakes each and every day. And I think that's what's allowed me, by having that mindset, that perspective, which was allowed me to navigate and build some serious relationships with some of the greats. I mean, I got to work under Barry Gordy's son, Kerry Gordy. I've met Al Bell. So many people that have really just uh, mentored me, and not necessarily mentored me, but educated me in ways of how success was garnered and created in music, in television, in
Mhm.
films. I mean, I've been in movies, I've been on set with actors, I've managed them, and I think it all kind of they all complement one another. They're like complementary goods if we're in marketing, right? They complement one another, right?
Yeah.
Management complements publicity, publicity complements talent, the talent complements the agent. Everybody works together.
Yeah, this is such a powerful example how you put it now. Thank you so much. How why we
Yeah,
should embrace in diversity. Yes, because like you said, every single person it's unique voice and unique resource, and that's why like you mentioned also, I believe strongly God, and God knows for God's sake why we all soon 8 billions made differently. Like no fingertips are uh, the same, no one of snowflake the same, why we should be like the same, right? It's like look at biodiversity, to have the healthy system of biodiversity. It's how, because they complementary, they are together, and that's why we love to go to botanical garden, because tulips, they never compete with lilies, right? Or roses that doesn't want to be
right.
they bloom, love, they really, but they don't think, oh, should I even bloom or should I diminish because this is the rose there. No sense, right? So we need to sometimes I believe actually we need just to stop, pause, and look at the nature. Nature has all the questions, all the answers for us, actually, why it is like that. Because, right? So that's why actually I want now uh, to come to the this emergent aspect of diversity, which
Yes.
very passionate subject for me, because even 10 months ago I had no this vocabulary in my head, in my like my tool, my positive tool, because I have OCD, neurodivergence, right? And I was called everything, like disabled, disorder, broke, not good enough, you name it, all that stuff. But now
Wow.
when I found, I was actually in mental institution, and I found the beautiful, for me now it appeals so much to my soul, neurodivergence, neurodiversity. It kind of, it was game changer for me, like, you know.
I can relate, I am as well. So, you know,
Oh.
I took and what's crazy, I took a webinar training on LinkedIn, from Hala Taha, and she's done some great stuff. I mean, huge podcast, and I was like, "Wow, every major successful entrepreneur from a Damon John to a Richard Branson to the list
Mhm,
goes on, they
mhm.
all are neurodivergent in one way or another." And when I was really, really small, going back to little Brandon, right, really tiny, I had a speech impediment. And who would have ever thought that I would be in that class? Because now when I speak, you would never, you like, that's not even possible, right? Because the articulation of how I'm able to speak is there, it's on point, and it just goes to show you that we all are faced with different things and obstacles, but it's just how we overcome those things, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's why, like I said, like, you know, it's also about our, because all the time we cannot control what is happening to us, but attitude to what we can really make and how we approach those things. And
Yes.
even I had no idea about power, about self-talk that much, how I even talk to myself, because if I'm talk to myself like I'm they're normal and I'm like, you know, I'm damaged. So of course after so many years, I was diagnosed first time 14 years ago. So I have been living all the time, believing these years I'm damaged, I'm not good enough. But
Right.
in addition, I don't understand, but in addition, because I'm that, I could manage that and that and that and that. But I said, oh, but society doesn't like, you know, say that doesn't praise that. Like, you know, I always
Right.
try to combine me with okay neurotypical people, but now, but after, like you said, I also was like, I started just reading just suddenly because it was about Elon Musk and ketamine therapy, and then he said like it was about his neurodiverse divergence. I was like, what is it? And he has, you know, ADHD, of course, even if you don't know, you know that, right? Like
I
all
have the
people.
same thing.
Yes, but all problematic things like Leonardo da Vinci, everybody,
Right.
Nikola Tesla. Oh my God! I started then to dig more and more, and like it makes sense most and everybody who thinks differently. It's like it's not disorder. It's disorder. It's different order of our brains, how our brain wired. Why it should be like stigma? Why it should be so shameful, right? And it's still many societies. It's still like very like this R4 box.
You just have to embrace who you are. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to, right? We're all dealt a specific deck of cards, and it's how we embrace that and kind of walk towards what we're dealt with when it comes to our path. And that's the thing. When you realize these things and you understand that they're advantages versus disadvantages, you're really able to really become a greater version of yourself.
Yeah, it's just I also believe we kind of in this situation also because of social media. One thing that I love the advantage, even you and me, we sit in now because we have the opportunity to to be connected across the ocean and everything. But still, because it's very very big press every single day, unfortunately to compare ourselves with other, right?
Right.
And people unfortunately like Instagram and TikTok, all the visual platforms, they don't put these images, the real images of their life, right? It's just this polished everything. And then you really have to, like you said, like you need to remember yourself, mind every single day that no, you're just the unique version of yourself. You don't need to compete with anybody else. But it's not that easy, right? How do you
You're right.
it's very because like on your daily basis also you I know all the people now I'm talking, they're great people, and I'm sure you, especially if you also has ADHD, neurodivergence, what is your actually main daily tools? Like I meditate twice a day, I'm journaling, I start every single day, like not with my phone, no, 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 meditation, like 5 things why I'm grateful for that, and then I start but what is your maybe small habits every day, like to be not overwhelmed or not to start in oh, suddenly, because it always seducing to compete yourself with other people, right? It's especially where you live and in your domain. Oh my god.
It's so tough. I mean, you brought up a valid point. I mean, for me, it's prayer,
Hmm.
meditation, whatever you want to call it, right? Prayer for me, and also listening to music. I love music, and so I do my best to clear my mind. I may go into it depending on how I'm feeling, if I'm inspired, if the creativity is there, if a concept comes to me and maybe a melody, a hook, I'm writing a song, right? And it's therapy. I love to do it, but it's also therapy as well because it's very easy to become overwhelmed, especially when you're a talent manager, right? So a talent manager, and I always say this with a jokingly manner, you're a glorified babysitter. You literally are there for your talent, and the main job of a manager, talent manager, is to advise, counsel, and negotiate their clients.
Hmm.
And but you're constantly but the key word counsel, right? So you have to be open to the idea of your artist may wake up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. They may be feeling depressed, sad, angry, frustrated, and you have to understand that they're going to use you as a vessel to vent to. So
Hmm.
you have to prepare your mind for that. Literally, there's no other way to describe this. You're a glorified babysitter, and it's like, oh, well, how many kids do you have? Well, I have a ton of kids because they're all kids at the end of the day.
Oh.
When you're managing these people, they're gifted and talented in their own individual right, and that's what makes them who they are. But at the same time, you have to understand that the role that you're in, you have a responsibility to be the one that they kind of lean on the shoulder to cry to and
Yeah.
ask you for advice and things of that nature. So, but for me, prayer, huge thing. I don't care if I have to pray on the hour, every hour, if I have to pray 2, 3 times a day, whichever is going to allow me to keep a optimistic mindset and perspective, then that's what I have to do. If I have to get in the car and go drive somewhere, if I have to stop everything that I'm doing and play my playlist and listen to the music that I write or the music of a Chris Brown or an October London or a
Hmm.
Hosier or anybody you can think of, right? I'm gonna have to do. That's just what I have to do.
Amazing. Yes, it's the same. It's meditation, because
Yeah,
meditation actually it's transferred from, a Sanskrit. It's a focus. It's about to pull in your focus on
a
one thing.
frequency. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Amazing. So yes, I think basically in schools, even I believe, even for kids, they we should make the subject to learn them how to maintain all these daily obstacles, because the speed of our lives, it will never be lower now, it will be
Well, I
just.
gotta share something with you. This brings me up to my next thing, right? And I
Mhm,
don't I think this is the perfect time to bring this up. So I recently was approached by uh, a wonderful organization, Philwise, and
mhm.
it touches on the behavioral patterns and emotions. And so they've got a wheel of behaviors and things of that nature. And I'll send you some stuff on it so you can, do your own research and homework on it. But it's brilliant because it's a great way of saying, hey, I'm feeling these specific emotions today and I don't know why, but here is the solution to the potential problems that I'm facing. And I think that students are going to really be able to adapt to it in the current curriculum in schools. I think law enforcement officers, because we all uh, get a sense of feeling overwhelmed each and every day, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a way around it. I think it's just how you approach it once it hits you and how you respond to it. If you allow it to affect you, then that's on you. But I think it's all about finding those useful tools to help us cope with these things that we face daily.
Yes, brilliantly. And how you put it, it's, yes, brilliant, because I also believe, like, we have been concerned a lot about COVID pandemic, but the real
Yeah.
pandemic of our century is stress level.
Yeah.
Stress which cause anxiety and depression and bipolar. It's and unfortunately, like digitalization, AI, people say it will be easier life, we will have help. No, but the speed of life will be even more crazy, because then productivity and requirements to ourselves, it's even higher all the time, that we have to produce, we have to, we have this is check up list of all must do stuff, endless, right? But to pause, to have, like you said, the profound things, actually it's about breathing. I was so amazed when I put the book, like it's called Think Like a Monk, and it's on a true story, right? It was a guy who was studied in Harvard, Cambridge, I believe, Harvard. Yes. And he was very, like, materialistic and all this career, and had a lot of goals and dreams, and his half Indian, half British family also, like, prayed that the son should, like, fulfill all their dreams as well. And suddenly it was one
Right.
monk who visited, maybe you heard about this book, and he was very fascinated by this monk. It actually changed his life, and he decided to go for some years to ashram and to live, and yeah. But what amazed me most, that that when he came there, and it was a Buddhist monk, and it was school for young boys, 5 6 years old, at this monastery. And then he asked these small kids, like, every day they were at school, but he never saw, like, books, or that they were writing or reading or something,
Right.
2 days. And then he asked them, okay, guys, but what are you doing there? No, we attended the school, but what are you learning at your school? And they said they learn to breathe. They first 2 years they learn to breathe.
Wow.
They learn to breathe in every situation. They believe that this is the most profound basic skills they have to obtain before reading, before writing. All that is common, but every single day, 2 years, they teach kids how in different situations to breathe. Huh. I was like, oh my God, we have at least, if we have maybe 1 hour per week for our Western kids, how to breathe. Probably all these wars and economical and political situations, which is really like, like at the top of this because of stress level.
Uh-huh.
All it would never be like that. I believe it. This is my opinion. So it was
Yeah, I
like,
agree with you. I think that's a valid point. It's interesting because some of the most simple things
mhm,
are the solvents or the solutions to our problems, and yet we neglect them each and every day.
exactly. Because mindfulness, right? I never thought about that. Like, you breathe in just here and now. You can never put yourself in past breathing, and you can never find
Right.
yourself in future breathing. It's just like the episode. Oh my God, really? But I think it's, like you said, it's kind of the lack of awareness and education. And even you and me, by our conversation now, I think we are making great impact because we expanding, right? Knowledge sharing, knowledge is the most powerful
Yeah.
tool at the end of the day. And maybe somebody could hear us now and wow, and it will be change and like transform, transmit, and everything. So thank you so much for, you see, I love this conversation, but I know like people, they're so busy now. So you and me, we could have been speaking many hours now because I can see we have so many common spiritual and common deep values. Maybe one day in Los Angeles we can just drink tea and yeah. My last question before we wish all the best to our audience. Actually, I love starting with a little bit uplifting and reliable circumstances like childhood, but okay, not everybody has actually childhood. Like my childhood was like, oh my God. Anyway, but anyway, childhood always also like present the beauty um of it, because we are very mindful when we're kids, right? And we believe in magics, we believe in fairy tales, and this is still one of my favorite fairy tales. And this one I bought this Pink Beauty, which is little but very tough. you know it's from which fairy tale, right?
Aladdin.
Yes. And this
Yes, the
Pink
genie.
Beauty,
The genie comes out of the bottle.
exactly. So I'm Eugenia today, but this one, she is very ambitious. She wants to make so many wishes of so many guests, so it allows just to fulfill one wish. It can be one wish to make two, not three. Sorry, because here already like wait, 30 wishes maybe. she's on she on a hard job already. So if
There you go.
yeah, so today your wish, one wish, it can be whatever you want, small, big, personal, not personal, but if you had the opportunity to put one wish for this stuff beauty today, what would that be?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. Uh, okay, so something that we spoke about earlier being diversity, right? And
Mm-hmm.
inclusion. If I had one wish, I wish that we could all be treated equally, and the discrimination and the racism and things of that nature would not even exist. I wish that everybody, whether you're from the Ukraine, Russia, Israel, the UAE, China, the US, whatever, we all treat everybody equally and not use diversity and the differences of cultures and things of that nature as a way to control people for more power and money and things of that nature. I wish we could all treat everybody equally. That's my wish.
Wow, what a powerful message to wrap up our episode.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Brandon, for sharing your incredible
Yes.
insights with us today. Your words have been so inspiring, so I'm sure that our listeners they will walk away very motivated to embrace diversity and inclusion in their own lives. So, and our listeners, let's keep pushing for the change, making the world more inclusive. Remember, diversity is not just something to talk about, it's something to live every single day. Let's change the game together, right? Until next time, stay curious and stay inclusive.
Thank you
Thank you
so much
so
for having me today. It's been awesome and wishing you much success with diversity is the game changer.
Thank you, Brenda. I hope my wish also that your wish come true, and one day when I move, we sit and talk a lot of, and then we can come more on your funny stories. I will show you a
Oh
lot
my
of.
goodness, that'll be hours, hours
Yes,
of
yes, yes. We need to
conversation.
book. I don't know, like exactly like digital detox, all detox, and then just sit like and, yeah, and me like, oh, one more, one last one.
That's it.
That is
That's it.
awesome. Okay, thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you so much.
great day.
Yeah, have a blissful day. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.